Hey, some people call the squat the king of all exercises, and it is one of the most productive exercises you can do for training athletes. And in 1994, it was me, yes, me, Big House Joe Kenn, that created the original Big Squat Wednesday. On this episode of Inside the House Words Win Wednesday, we talk a little bit about the origins of Big Squat Wednesday, how it became across the nation in some schools Big Squat Friday and why. And now I've even seen my colleague and great friend Ben Hilgert drop a Big Squat Thursday with the Boise State Broncos this summer. Big Squat Wednesday, origins. In 1994, I got my first opportunity to lead up a football program's strength and conditioning workouts or training sessions. At this point in time, most of all football programs at the university levels were on what we called a 4-day split. Monday, Tuesday, off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. At this point in time, I was working with all the Olympic sports, and I was in the middle of creating and developing at a high level the beginning processes of the tier system, which was based off of a Monday, Wednesday, Friday whole body training approach. This was a little bit atypical at this point in time in college football, and I was getting ready to create one of my first paradigm shifts in strength and conditioning. As we were building the program and we were rotating movements by priorities, whether it be the clean, the bench, or the squat at that point in time, those were our big three foundational exercises. And I won't lie, at this point in time, we were building the strength program around exercises, not necessarily movements, and it was about producing new PRs in the weight room. That's how training was in the early to mid to late 90s. So as we're designing the template for the week, a couple of things why I liked whole body training. It fits with athletic development. Most athletes outside of the adaptive athletes will generally be on 2 feet and always using their whole body to perform actions. So I felt it was conducive to training. I'm not big into sport specific training, but I am into metabolic specific demands, and standing and doing upper body and lower body and total body lifts on the same day. At that time, we called them explosive lifts, the Olympic lifts, was important to me. Also was important was how we built out the running plan. And at that point in time, we were running and lifting a lot on the same days. And a lot of times it was conditioning. Now that could fall on an upper body day or so forth. But during that 4-day split, Wednesday was the off day. I always had an issue with, hey, if they're getting the weekend off, why aren't we training 5 days a week, which a lot of people do now with various different templates. But at this point in time, I also knew what human nature is. If we're going to run and lift on the same day, and more so conditioning or lift on the same day, something's going to give. Some people are going to commit more to the running, less on the lifting, and vice versa. And at this point in time, I built the whole program around squats. And we placed squats on Wednesday because at this time in the 90s, when I was doing some research, I don't know if it was in a New York Times article at the time. This was at the birth of the internet, where I read an article that said the most productive workday of the week was Wednesday. That resonated with me. I'm like, that's funny that the most productive workday of the week is Wednesday and we're giving these kids off. What better day than if we were going to build our program around squatting, the back squat in particular, why wouldn't we put it on Wednesday? And more importantly, that was the only day a week we weren't going to run. So we could emphasize everything that day on creating monster, huge squats. So in 1994, the winter of 1994, we launched Big Squat Wednesday with the Boise State football team. Before that, all the Olympic sports that I programmed for were squatting on Wednesday, but as we all know, everything is driven by football. So Wednesday became Big Squat Wednesday for a very long time. Here's when it flipped. When football coaches began to get crazier and crazier about getting kids to do football year round. In the mid to late 2000s, some of the paradigm shifts with football became coaches started creating what they called PRPs, player run practices. And guess what day most of the coaches felt was the best day to do it? Wednesdays. Why? Because they're used to traditional Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday lifting plans. So it made sense to them. Obviously, in a program such as mine, if you were training on Wednesdays, not very conducive to success. So that started to change the paradigm shifts. Luckily for me, the coaches that I had worked with at that time weren't necessarily doing the PRP, so I was able to really run Big Squat Wednesday all the way through my tenure at Arizona State at 2007. When I go to Louisville, they were a huge PRP team, and I had to make adjustments not only in Big Squat Wednesday, but on my conditionings on Tuesday and Thursday. And I always said when PRPs affected the things we were trying to do in the strength conditioning program, then it might have gone into overkill. But it wasn't me who created Big Squat Friday. I'll be honest with you, I'm not super sure who the first one was, but I do think it was two of my colleagues that were on my staffs at Arizona State. It was either Josh Storms or Ben Hilgert who realized that they couldn't squat on Wednesdays anymore, and they actually moved it to the end of the week on Big Squat Friday. So that's when I took and learned a lesson from my former staff members and was like, man, I have to make the move. So my second year at Louisville, we went to Big Squat Friday, which is the big term now that a lot of schools have implemented, is Big Squat Friday. But crazy enough, I'm on social media the other day and I see Big Squat Thursday. And who is it? Big Ben. Now, I don't know what kind of template he's running, and I don't know what kind of sessions he's running days a week. But for the first time in the history of the Big Squat Wednesday mantra, I saw a Big Squat Thursday. Shout out to Big Ben. I know he's choosing his days wisely. There's got to be some logical reasoning behind Big Squat Thursday. But this is how it all started. Big Squat Wednesday was built back in the days when all I really cared about was my guys having a monster squat. Then I learned about movement before muscle, health is wealth. It's not about one exercise, it's about a multifaceted approach. I learned a lot about that when I went to Utah, and we really started moving towards more of a front squat, major accessory work, to a point now where a front squat is highly dominating in my programs with athletes. But the Big Squat Wednesday phenomenon, 1994, Boise State's weight room, the football team, and they crushed it for me. For 5 years, I was the head strength coach there. We took it to Utah, took it to Arizona State, took it to Louisville, changed it to Big Squat Friday at Louisville. But guess what? It wasn't super big, but we had Big Squat Wednesday in the NFL for multiple years that I was with the Panthers during our on-site program from April to June. Then we moved squats to Mondays during the season, as we did Tuesdays during the season when I was at Arizona State and so forth. So the term Big Squat Friday you hear today was Big Squat Wednesday, and that's how it started. What a 3-day template utilizing the most productive workday of the week at that time to emphasize the biggest lift that I wanted my athletes to be the best at, and that was squatting. No running on that day. You came in. Back then, like I said, I use terms. I can't even remember if we did a warm-up. We just came in, took attendance, hit the squat rack. So there you have it, the origins of Big Squat Wednesday from yours truly, Big House Power. Till next time, I got to remember this. Like and subscribe. Forgot to be doing that. And appreciate everybody who's watching. Words win.